isn't this an amazing panel? So we've heard from everybody. We're going to be joined now by Neil Coleman as well, who is one of the mentors, who is Jude and Tom's mentor at Myatt Garden. He's been, Neil, do you want to stick your video on, mate? I've known Neil for, about 15 years now. He's an expert in risk and play in particular. And how long have you been an OPAL mentor?
Since Michael made it legal to be one, I think. From pretty much the beginning, really.
It's nearly 10 years now.
It's 10 years now, yeah.
10 years now. Right, we're going to be joined by everybody else. So if everybody can come in, this is the new Zoom thing. Join us on the front of the curtain. Come out from backstage. Come and join the webinar. Stick on your videos. I highly recommend. I know we've got. I'm just going to, how do I stop share? Stop share. So I've had to put my webcam in the middle of the screen because I had to move the thing. So stop share there. Hello, everybody. We're going to, I think, Sarah, you need to spotlight everybody. Sarah's going to make sure we're all spotlighted. And I'm going to get my questions back up. We have been having some really good questions in the chat there. I'm going to start off with an easy one. All of you, I want to say, what was one change that you made or that you've heard of being made in a school that helps you stop saying no, that gives your children the freedom to decide for themselves? What's the one thing, if you're giving advice to another head teacher thinking about increasing freedom in September, what's the one change that helps the children have freedom in their play? Who would like to start? Sarah.
It was a thing I told myself, really. It was to get over what I would see as the mess in the playground, the stuff, the pipes, the sticks, and to stop telling myself that it's messy and it needs tidying up and putting away, and actually saying that that's okay to have chairs out and sticks out and pipes out. And as a head teacher, I didn't have a pristine playground and there was lots of stuff, but I kept telling myself that was okay because it gave children the choice.
There's a big difference between messy and unloved and messy and loved.
Absolutely.
Rob, keep your video on, mate. Who wants to go next? Gregory? You're on mute.
Yeah, that's fine. Something for me, just thinking about the question. Just repeat the question for me, Kath, just so I can get this right. I'll repeat the question.
So what's the one thing, what piece of advice do you give to a new head teacher about stopping saying no, increasing freedom?
It comes back to what I was referring to around that love and that fear. So I think Sarah was talking about the fear of a messy playground. I was certainly in that camp, the fear of mess. And I think one of the biggest things was actually developing the junior OPAL team. And what we do here at Daubeney is that every week, we will meet as a working group, then we'll meet the junior team or my delegated person for that. And we will let the children experiment and risk assess the item that will be coming out the following week. So I think getting them to kind of see, right, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, and we don't want anybody doing that. And I think the kids kind of guiding that through just made me kind of relax to actually, why did I get into education? Was it to dictate to children, or was it to pull out of children, the real meaning of the word education? So I think just working in tandem with your children and having faith in the guys around you. And it was interesting. I think it was Rob, and it might have been Greg, forgive me, gentlemen, whoever it was, but just getting out of that mantra of saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. But just pausing and thinking, why can't we? And if you give that a bit of thought, actually, yeah, go on and have some fun. So yes, passing power to the children, to be concise, yeah?
Passing the power to the children. Bit of messiness, passing the power to the children. Michael, I'm going to come to you after a couple more teachers, if that's okay. Rob Francksen.
You're picking on me again, aren't you?
I am.
So I would say, so Michael mentioned earlier, and Michael, can I just quickly say, by the way, he is like the play deity. I could listen to him all day. I think everyone can. Sorry, Michael. Yeah, we're not worthy. Michael said earlier, as part of the program, or one of the first things you ask, usually head teachers, senior leaders, is, the challenge is, can you ensure that when you walk out to your playground, to your field, that every child is engaged. So my first tip is just go and do that, whether you're with OPAL or not. Just go and do that. Go and observe and just look, stand back and watch, and you know, start that iterative kind of cycle, that evaluative process. And the children are always the proof in the pudding, aren't they? So go and look, go and watch, go and observe, and I think, you know, you can make your own mind up. You really can.
Brilliant, Rob. Greg Cox.
Yeah, I would just to add to that, I was just thinking about the play workers and how involved they are in this process. And what I always say to my play workers is, I'm not expecting you to be able to see all the children all the time. And I was just looking here at a cloak of invisibility that I was on the playwork primer, which came as a part of the OPAL pack, which talks about how we need to put as play workers that cloak on and let the kids play. Let them play without adults watching. When children feel they're being watched, they are not having that real, full, purposeful play experience. And that's why we encourage children to go and play in the bushes, play in the trees. Of course, we have play workers supervising and roaming, but they're not standing and watching those children when they really, as a child, who had their favourite play experience and remembers an adult watching them whilst they were doing it, it just doesn't happen.
Fantastic. It's like don't stress about being able to see the children all the time.
Yeah.
Let them have their own time. Jude, Tom, Lewisham, what would you say?
I think when we started, we were really nervous, and we definitely had lots of staff who thought, well, you're giving children wooden sticks and they're going to hit each other. And I think the things that gave us the confidence to keep going were play assemblies. We did really regular play assemblies. So before new equipment was introduced into the playground, we introduced it in play assemblies. The children demonstrated how they could play with it, and we had some basic rules. And also we had play team meetings every week. So when we first started, Tom held play team meetings with all the play team workers each week. And we built our confidence, and now we're really confident. The children tell us how they're going to play when we have new equipment, and then it goes straight out. And everybody is so much more relaxed now, because our children are brilliant at their own dynamic risk assessments. They're really used to it now.
I think that's a set of really good advice. I'm going to ask a question, and Michael, Mariana, I'm going to come to you first, because actually that leads on beautifully to a question from, I think, Tracy Weiss, saying she works in a special needs primary school. She understands the value of loose parts, advocated for it in early years. That she's got a particular concern about children picking up those toys, that junk, and using them as weapons. This is something that comes up, whether it's a special needs school or a mainstream school, junior school, infant school, secondary school. What particular advice have you got around weapons and the using loose parts, maybe inappropriately? Michael first, and then Mariana.
Okay, just very briefly from the last one. I was with a senior executive teacher all throughout the first meeting, the development one. You could hear him whispering under his breath, growth mindset, growth mindset. So yes, we all need a growth mindset, including senior leaders, and that's how you challenge yourself. In terms of special schools, it's exactly the same as mainstream schools, that every different child has a different level of self-regulation and the ability to self-regulate. The stuff about weapons is just a stuff about what is your ability to self-regulate. We give them chairs. We don't expect them to hit each other over the heads with chairs. We give them cutlery in the lunch hall. We don't expect them to pick the cutlery up and stab each other in the face. It's no different with play resources. In special schools, you just need to know your children better, to know what they're likely to do with them. And if they're extremely likely to use something as weaponry, you need to give something that is less likely to injure each other. And within special schools, you get children who are very able to learn self-regulation, and you get children who find it very hard and are likely to fly off the handle. And it just means watching them more closely, and limiting the potential for harm of the weaponry that you give them.
I love that. Yeah, soft stuff isn't going to hurt anybody. Mariana, what have you got to add to that about?
Yeah, I mean, I think Michael's points are excellent. And I guess I would add that every child needs these kinds of experiences. And so we need, as adults, to be prepared to support them where they're at. And it's going to look different for different children, regardless of whether they have special needs or not. And I guess I would also add that the kind of play that can happen with weaponry or with rough and tumble play is really important also to teach consent, right? So consent of that kind of play and those skills around, are we still both into this play, and kind of that constant check-in that can happen with that kind of play. So it's really valuable. We shouldn't try and discourage it or tamp it down. It all has a place in the playground.
I think that point about consent is really important. Neil, I'm coming to you, and then I'd really like one of you head teachers or senior leaders to jump in with some real examples around this. Neil.
Yeah, Kath, do I get rid of the hand thing? What everyone's just been saying, and hi, Marianne, I haven't seen you for ages. Nice to see you again. When we were with Jude and Tom yesterday, and all those lovely people came along to see the brilliant Myatt garden, Jude, you said something that really made me proud. You said that there was a little boy playing, and he said to you he had dynamicked it. Would you like to explain what it means to dynamic it?
So we've talked a lot with the children. We have done so many play assemblies, and our children really are play experts now. And so we talk about them taking responsibility and doing a dynamic risk assessment. So yesterday I saw a little boy, and he'd made quite a high den, and he'd taken one of those road barriers and put it as a ladder, and was about to start climbing up it, and it was starting to slip. So I walked over, and I was going to say, oh, I've just noticed that looks a bit unstable. What could you do? And as soon as he saw me coming, he just went, I know, I've already seen it. I've dynamicked it, and I'm going to get some foam mat to go underneath. So the children are they're very good at doing their own dynamic risk assessments as they go. And in terms of children hitting each other, we've got a really simple rule. Scrap on scrap is okay. Scrap on person, we don't have. And that, the children follow that pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that thing about, sorry, Neil.
It's all about the competent child, as Michael was saying yesterday. The children become competent because we allow them the freedom, which is the thing today.
Yeah. And they take responsibility very, very quickly.
I was like, oh yeah, I've got one. It's like we hand them this. This is one of our kind of like classic OPAL thing. We hand this to the smallest child because, the pen is mightier than the sword. But oh boy, we also hand them the means to make this into a really sharp instrument. And yet mostly they don't actually chop it into each other. They use it for the purpose it's set there for. So regulation, consent. Sarah, did you want to jump in on this, or Rob?
I think I totally agree. We had children, we were worried about sticks and using them as weapons. But again, the play assemblies make such a difference, talking to the children about how can we use them safely. And then we did a lot of celebrating. We showed photographs and videos of all those children doing what we wanted them to do with the sticks, or being creative and thinking of something that we hadn't thought of, but doing things safely. And by celebrating those, we actually found the children who found it more tricky were starting to copy. And even those ones who struggled at the beginning, they do get it, and they get it quite quickly, which is really fantastic.
Rob, did you have something to add there? All good. I'm going to move on to asking about parents. Like, what has been the impact on parents? This freedom you've given them in the playground. Two aspects to this. Firstly, do the parents ever complain? And secondly, how are you going to sustain that freedom over the summer holidays? Who would like to answer that first? Gregory. Sarah, you go first, and then Gregory, I'm coming to you. I want you to talk to me about adventure playgrounds. Sarah.
So we wanted our parents to really get on board, so we invited them in. So we've started a tradition now where the week before half term, every lunchtime, they're just invited to come and play. And that first one in October, we had something like 130 parents in over 5 days, which was quite terrifying, because the idea of having that many parents in your playground over 5 days, but actually they loved it. The positive buzz was just incredible. Interestingly, we haven't had as many parents come back in the summer term, but I think that's because there was anxiety, and that's just gone away. And what was really joyful is we had a parent put on our recent questionnaire that we did with them is, when my child comes home with clean clothes, I know they haven't had that much of a good day, which was fantastic.
Fantastic. Gregory.
Yeah. In terms, you said to speak about the adventure playground. Now, we're very fortunate, I believe, in that we are very close to a very large expanse of greenery here in London. I think we all know, whether we live here in England or abroad, London, a very highly densely built up city. But we're very lucky that close to us, Hackney Marshes. And Hackney Marsh has had an adventure playground since 1972. 2 weekends to come, they'll be celebrating 50 years of operating. Now, in terms of development, and here as a school, you know, as head teachers, we go out, we network, we do all these things. And there was a meeting I attended where it's like, guys, try and get your schools to access local adventure playgrounds. And we're very fortunate, we're literally 200 meters away. So I thought, let's make that connection. We started to meet with Angela over at the adventure playground. How much would you charge us to access? What activities could we do here? And we started thinking, I wonder if we could have additional PE lessons in the adventure playground. That's where we started off our train of thought. That still continues to this day. So every half term, a year group will go across to the adventure playground for their additional PE lesson, which allows us the opportunities for OA, outdoor activities. If anyone's really on their curriculum, they'll know about outdoor activities. And so therefore, at present, we're the only school in Hackney who accesses a local adventure playground for additional PE lessons. I recognise due to location, it's worked out for us, but if any of you do or are located close to an adventure playground, it's great. One, for the relationship, so children can access that in their own time, but it also affords you to kind of think of some ideas around what you can do. And also as well, in terms of recycle, reuse, etc. If we can't use it, we always offer an item over to the adventure playground. If they would like it, if it serves them, feel free to take it. And I think it's just a fantastic relationship between the adventure playground and us. And hopefully it allows the children to recognize that we respect PE, physical development, but also for the parents that we value this aspect of learning.
That's it. I can't emphasize that enough. You've got an adventure playground near you, go visit it, have a look at what they do. I know your one has, like, they've got a few like wheelchairs the kids can play in. They've got massive high climbing things. They've got things that you can't have on a school site, but they've also got an awful lot you can have, and you can learn from them. In terms of the parents and how we're going to sustain this wonderful freedom of thought, freedom of movement, freedom of physicality over the summer, any advice that you'd give them? I mean,
if I just started off and then we'll pass it on, in terms of what I talked about in terms of the local adventure playground and the 50-year celebration, it's just trying to usher and build that relationship. The children are familiar with the adventure playground, and Kath will know we're very big into community partnerships. So we will usher children to different, and put up the posters and just try and celebrate that in terms of, for us, of many research that's been mentioned today, no one's really referenced the fact that if children engage in social clubs, social activities, research demonstrates they'll go on to achieve greater life outcomes. So getting our children to access the local sports club, whatever it is, get involved is going to make your life better in the long run, children and parents.
Thank you, Gregory. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't, sorry to throw a bit of a quote out here, but I can't help myself. Doesn't Kwanzaa say something like, you know, if you're thinking a year ahead, sow seed. If you're thinking 10 years ahead, plant trees. If you're thinking 1,000 years ahead, educate the people. So on that note, you know, I don't think there's not a silver bullet. There's not a quick win with this, but it's about going on a transformational cultural process where you're working with parents, and it is exactly that. It's about educating the community, is educating every single possible stakeholder, because often, you know, it's just maybe perhaps there's a lack of understanding, or, you know, so getting parents in is really, really key, because they will identify with all of the statistics that's out there. You know, it's crazy, isn't it? Really, I don't want to batter on here, but Gregory was just when Gregory spoke about fear, it really resonates, doesn't it? And the educational system, I told you I'd get on one, didn't I? The educational system is so sort of fear driven, and it's all based around sort of, you know, accountability measures, academic standards, and then we wonder why there's such a, you know, ridiculous prevalence of poor mental health, etc. So it's a big thing. There's so much to this, and it's about educating, you know, everyone, because this is all about the little people and giving them time and space. So yeah, I think the more we can educate, the more we can involve the parents, the more we can talk to the parents, open up, you know, channels of communication. This is all about, we're all coming from a good place, from the same place. We want the best for children, don't we? And great play, as Michael says, it doesn't just happen. We've actually got to work at this.
Absolutely. I think Brian Sutton Smith says, in play, children make the world less scary or less boring. And that's all to the good. Michael, and then Mariana, I do want you to mention your tool to support parents, and anything else that you'd like to say on that. Michael?
Yeah, just a couple of things. There's a free book for all parents that you can access from the OPAL website, called The Power of Play. It's just very, very simple ideas. I think the message that all of us need to get across to parents is that play is free, play is wonderful, play is a great way for you to learn to get on with your children. Go to whatever resource is local. Go to the park, go to a field, go to the beach. You don't have to spend money, you don't have to do anything, but just follow your child's lead. Just get in a playful frame of mind, become a child again, and follow their lead. That's all we need to do. It's not complicated. Become playful, and just, your child is a natural play expert. So follow them and you'll have a wonderful time.
I think one of my colleagues will drop that brilliant book in the chat now. Mariana.
Yeah, thanks, Kath. I do a lot of work with parents, and one of the most important things that I found is really you need to meet parents where they're at, and recognize that it's a journey, right? So you need to be sensitive to the differences between parents, not make them feel like their concerns are unfounded, but really just kind of gently move them forward. And some of the ways that have been talked about today, we have a tool that we've created for parents, you know, through the research. We use behavior change theory, the same kind of theory you use to quit smoking or increase physical activity. You can find it at outsideplay.ca. And basically it's a tool to help parents think about, you know, it takes them through some self-reflection exercises and what's really important to them, right? So that they can ground their decisions around their priorities and what they value, and shut out the noise and the fear, right? So that they can really focus on what's important and what they want most for their kids. We've tested it by a randomized control trial, and it really, in some ways, we think of it as a nice kind of entry point into the OPAL mind frame, with OPAL being so good at that kind of systemic change.
Yeah, I think that's comes out to, somebody will drop a link to that tool into the chat there. Thanks, Mariana. Just on the last thing, the last couple of minutes before we close, each of you, I'd like to come to you, each of you, say one thing that you want to change to increase freedom for children. That's freedom to play, freedom to think, freedom to move, freedom to be who they want to be. What's one change that you would like to see in the world, or one story that you want to highlight very quickly? Who wants to kick off? Oh, nobody wants to start.
I will.
Michael. And then I'm coming to all of you.
I would just like every single school to have a plan to show how they're going to provide the quality of play that every child deserves. Every single school. I don't care whether they're at Opal School or not.
Have a play policy.
I just want every single school to have a plan to demonstrate how they're going to make play excellent. That's all we want.
Fantastic.
Well, I want to just jump, sorry, Kat, just to jump in. I mean, I spoke earlier on around as head teachers, educators, we know that we are very time poor. And I know in the audience, there'll be some head teachers who are looking and thinking, this all sounds fantastic. How do I implement in my school? I would encourage you just to start slowly and get it going. If I speak frankly, I was thinking, yeah, kids play, what's the problem? What else do we need to do? But actually focusing in, and I'll do another quote. Happy people take their happiness seriously. We need to plan for play and it will work out very well. And the investment, there was reference to mental health. I think we need to really think about the importance of play for us as children, but also the importance of play for us as adults.
Thank you, Greg. Neil.
Yeah, I was just looking at and thinking, well, wouldn't it be lovely if the whole world was full of Robs and Gregs and Gregories and Judes and Toms and Sarahs, and it would make life so much easier, wouldn't it? It would just be perfect. I think the big change that I want to see, and we saw a little of it yesterday when we brought the two MPs to Myatt Garden, is we need a cultural, social understanding at the national and the international level. That's where this needs to go. This needs to go around the world now. That's the important thing. We need to reappreciate the value of play in child well-being. It's so important. We just need to get it out there. And that's the big push now, I think, is to take it to that next level.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil. Rob Francksen. Okay.
I'll try and keep it short for a change. Happier children as a result of being given wider, greater opportunities for play and to develop those soft skills, the part of the hidden curriculum that actually Opal, if I'm honest, it uncovers that curriculum and makes it very palpable.
That hidden curriculum is a really great way of phrasing it. Sarah.
I would love it for every governing body, every local authority, school improvement advisor to have a conversation with their head teacher to say, we know you're under the cosh with Ofsted requirements and data requirements, but actually play is really important and it's okay to focus on it. It's okay to focus on play and not to necessarily think about maths for one hour of the day, and to give head teachers permission to do this, because I think it's the fear, as Gregory said, that drives what head teachers do, or the things we have to do, a lot of the things, to be given permission as a head that it's okay to think about play and it's okay to do what feels quite radical and quite scary, would be really amazing for head teachers.
Any Ofsted people out there, take note. Jude and Tom.
I would say get Opal involved, because they'll give you the confidence to know that actually what you want to do is okay, and they'll give you the support that you need. And also trust your kids to dictate the play. Trust the kids to choose what play, not what you think or I think. We're old, they're children, they're young, they know how to play. They don't need us to tell them use this like this. Just let them take the lead, because they'll do it.
Mariana.
Yeah, I think it's for each and every one of us, all of society, to recognize that we have a role, right? So to recognize that it's up to each of us to consider how we can support this, and that it's a journey, and that we can start small. Don't get overwhelmed. But every journey starts with one small step. It can be as simple as, next time I want to say, be careful, I'm just going to count to 17. Something as simple as that.
Oh, I'm going to make that into a t-shirt. Be happy on the front and count to 17 on the back. I think that's great. Oh, so many nuggets there. Listen to the children. Observe what they're doing. Let them hide. Let them be. Don't stress about the mess. Build confidence in yourself and your staff. Build a growth mindset for yourself. Feel the fear and do it anyway seems to be a bit of a thread going on. Let the kids be happy. Happy kids become competent, happy adults. I think that we know is grounded in really good science. If you want to see the science, we've got loads on our website. If you want to see the research behind this, go and check out our YouTube channel and the last conference that we did. The last moments, I want to say thank you so much. Greg Cox had to leave us just a little bit early. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Gregory. Thanks, Neil, for joining in this last bit. Jude and Tom, thank you. Thank you so much, Mariana, for joining us so early from Canada. Thanks to Sarah in the background who's doing the tech there. Michael, I'm going to hand over to you to close this wonderful conference.
Good, and thank you, Kath, for running these. These are not easy to do. Having attempted to do it myself in the past, that is why Kath is doing it now, because I'm not responsible enough to be able to be unleashed with this kind of technology. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you, wherever you have joined us from all over the world. I hope that you will take away something. The thing that I've taken away, I think more than anything from this conference is joy, the absolute joy of getting this right. It comes across in the videos, it comes across in what Gregory's talking about, in the journey from kind of fear to love. Everybody that's talked has expressed the joy that they've felt in doing this, and just the happiness with doing the right thing for children. And when you do the right thing for children, wonderful things happen. So if you want to do it through OPAL, do it through OPAL. If you do it without OPAL, do it without OPAL, but do it.
Just do it. Thank you, everybody. We're going to finish now, put a share screen on for a couple of minutes. Participants come backstage, and Rob, we're going to have to figure out how to get you backstage. Speak to you all soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Anything else you want, come and do put things in the chat. We will be sharing this on it's all already live on YouTube, so you can watch it there. We'll be sharing it again out to everybody. Bye bye. Have a playful, happy day. Bye,
everybody. Thank you.